again!
It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one!
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams.
Hello, you're watching Firstpost with me, Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right on the show today, battle lines are drawn and there is a lot of tension in the air as action in the Border Gavaskar Trophy shifts to Melbourne for the Boxing Day test. Punches are already being exchanged. The Australian media is at it once again, saying India has siege mentality, calling Virat Kohli a bully. Are they justified? Over in chess, what is Gukesh's China connect that helped him cross over the line to win the World Championship title? More on that in the show. And Virat Kohli's childhood coach has lit a fire with his comments of the superstar and his family moving out of India and settling down in UK. Can Virat do that? Why would he want to? And what could the repercussions be? But first, let's take a look at the headlines on Sports 360. We'll start with cricket. South Africa suffered a maiden ODI series whitewash at home after losing to Pakistan 3-0. In the final ODI, Pakistan posted 308 in a rain-affected match. Saeem Ayub scored 100 to give Pakistan a solid start, while bowling Sufyan Muqim's 4 wickets helped Pakistan win the match by 46 runs with DLS. Meanwhile, over at the Champions Trophy, the India versus Pakistan match is reportedly scheduled for the 23rd of February and will be played in UAE. Like all of India's other games in the tournament, the official schedule, of course, is yet to come out. In women's cricket, India beat West Indies by 211 runs in the first of a 3-match ODI series. Smriti Mandhana's 91 took India's total to 314 for 9. In response, Renuka Singh's 5 wickets bowled West Indies out for 103. Mandhana's 91 also helped her overtake South Africa's Laura Woolward as the highest run scorer across all formats this year. Mandhana has scored 1,602 runs with 5 50s and 5 hundreds. On to football. Manchester United suffered a 3-0 defeat to Bournemouth at Old Trafford in the Premier League. Dean Huijsen scored the opener and Antoine Semenyo scored the winner in the 63rd minute. This was United's 7th defeat this season at the Premier League and are currently placed 13th. And summing it up with news from boxing, Alexander Usyk beat Tyson Fury in the heavyweight championship rematch by a unanimous decision. Usyk was awarded the fight 116 to 112 points by all 3 judges. Usyk's win takes his tally to 23-0. Battle lines are drawn and it is well and truly war now. On the cricket pitch and now off it too. If the Indian Premier League has the impact player rule where a 12th person comes in to be a part of what has always been a traditional playing 11, the Australian cricket team has that too. Their 12th player is their own media. The Aussie media, who do a fine job of triggering mind games, inciting, throwing accusations and more. They play their part in building up the hostile environment that the visitors are anyway going to be subjected to when they enter the field. The latest in this growing standoff between India and Australia that's over the weeks intensified at the Border Gavaskar Trophy is centred around what transpired at the MCG, the Melbourne cricket ground, over the weekend. Ravindra Jadeja was called in for a visiting journalist alone press briefing, meaning a short press conference at the side of the net session at the ground itself, only involving Indian journalists. The Aussie press were informed of this by the Australian counterparts, so they crowded in too. Jadeja was asked questions in Hindi, one of the prominent languages in India, and he answered in Hindi too. He was there for around 10 to 15 minutes and left. The Aussie press was furious and accused Jadeja of purposely speaking in Hindi and how they were not allowed to ask any questions. Of course, this is all of what the Aussie press reported. Of course, 9 News saying the pressure is intensifying and the tourists are adopting a siege mentality. That's what 9 News, of course, said Many coming in and calling Ravindra Jadeja's press conference a pathetic act in the wake of Virat Kohli's airport clash with the reporter. Of course, the Australian media going on to also call this petulant and surly. Aren't India wonderful ambassadors for their country and Test cricket? Ravi Jadeja faced media today and refused to answer questions in English. Sen says it's too ugly. Tensions rise between India and Australia after the Jadeja press conference. There's more, of course. A lot of the media, in fact, also calling this disorganized and hopeless. So a lot of backlash there coming for India via the Australian media. Now, this needs to be set straight. That press conference was for Indian journalists alone. A lot of teams do that depending on various reasons, the situation, the circumstances, and they do that through a series in pockets. Even so, the team manager did not stop the Aussie media from being there. It's just that many questions were not fielded. There was little time. Even all the Indian journalists did not get time in to ask in their questions. The other point, of course, I need to make, Jadeja did not refuse to speak in English. He spoke in the language that he's comfortable in and the language that he was being asked the questions in. And why is that wrong? No one questions and berates a Lionel Messi who chooses to speak in the language that he's comfortable in, and that's not English. The Australian media even had a heated verbal exchange with the Indian team manager right after, and have criticized the Indian media saying that they are Indian team saying that they're employing siege mentality. What that phrase means is a collective state of mind where a group of people, here in this case the Indian team, believes that they are being attacked or oppressed. But where did Jadeja's disposition entail any of this? He chose to speak in the language he knows. Any cricket journalist who's covered cricket and who's interviewed Jadeja would attest to that. Of course, what's happened post this reportage? I'll tell you, there was a friendly T20 match that was scheduled to take place on Sunday between the Indian and Australian journalists, the media. That got called off because they did not have enough people. Why? Because a section of the Indian media decided to boycott that friendly. It's not just the media who have thrown judgment over the Indian cricket team. Former Aussie cricketer Simon Katich has also shown his displeasure with this incident.
There's been a few things unfolding in the last week or so that haven't gone down well at that camp. It's probably just the mind games being played, given the enormity of this series. The media are here to promote the game, and I don't know what the Indians are thinking at the moment. That's their problem.
Of course, India commentator Irfan Pathan was quick to come to Jadeja and the Indian team's defense. All of this noise is, of course, turning into a bit of a din. That Virat Kohli episode, yes, you thought that airport scene was done and dusted, but no, Australian media and critics don't seem to have gotten over this. They have now called Virat Kohli a bully.
You're a batting superstar, you're a global superstar in the world of cricket, and he takes umbrage to the fact that the attention is focused on him. And then he stood over this girl, Nat Ioannidis, who's about 5'1", 5'2", and just absolutely berated her. You're nothing but a bully, Virat.
Now, we do not know what words exactly were used or what tone was used. We only heard Virat Kohli say, "Do not film his children." And I do not see what was wrong with that. He may have been agitated, yes. He may have been slightly irritated when he said it, but don't we all when we encounter something that upsets us over and over again? And we know he shook hands with the camera person after that exchange and walked away. But he's now being termed a bully for this episode. Dear Australian media, or some of you at least, I do have some friends over there, but let me tell you who is actually a bully. Former captain Ricky Ponting was when he told the umpire to give it out. This was a famous incident in that very infamous 2008 series between India and Australia, when Ponting took a catch and signaled to the umpire to give it out. And that was not even out, and a player has no business telling the umpire what decision to give. That's being a bully. But hey, do we know any better? Of course, addition to all of these, what reports also say is that the Indian team has been given flat tracks to train at leading up to that Melbourne test. The practice pitches reportedly had no bounce and nothing for the pacers. They say an Aussie tour is a trial by fire. This one is definitely proving to be one hot boiling cauldron. Gukesh's World Chess Championship win put him up with the world's best, making Gukesh synonymous with some of the best in Indian sport. And while Gukesh lifted the trophy in Singapore, he had a team working hard with him behind the scenes, a team that worked on the little aspects of his game. And while everyone contributed to Gukesh's title, there was one person who was instrumental in this historic triumph. India's Grandmaster Hari Krishna Pentala played a huge role in the 18-year-old's achievement. And it was Pentala's Chinese connection that proved to be the decisive aspect. How did the 38-year-old Grandmaster get Gukesh the title? Take a look.
Chess may be an individual sport played on individual merit, but there's a lot of groundwork that goes behind preparing the player. And when Gukesh assembled a team of over 5 members, it proved that battles aren't just won on the chessboard, but the mind games, a crucial part of any warfare, start outside the playing field. The most unique addition to Gukesh's team was that of mental coach Paddy Upton. He became the final piece in Gukesh's World Championship jigsaw. But along with Upton, the contribution of Grandmaster Harikrishna Pentala proved to be the biggest difference between Gukesh and Ding Liren. The former world number 10 even received special praise from Gukesh's father, crediting him for his role in Gukesh's rise.
Gukesh and Hari worked together for a week in 2022, and then Gukesh kept his upward trajectory. Hari was kind enough to invite Gukesh to his home after he crossed 2650. I believe that 1 week of intense camp at Hari's place played a big role in Gukesh's growth back then.
Pentala himself broke into the chess world by becoming the then youngest Indian Grandmaster in 2001. And his most recent accomplishment was winning gold as a member of India's Chess Olympiad team. So his championship mindset was enough to be an important member in Gukesh's journey. But that isn't the only factor that made Pentala a huge asset in the World Chess Championship final. The Indian Grandmaster understands the playing style of Chinese players. Pentala spent several seasons in the Chinese league where he played with the Shanghai team. For a good portion of last year, Pentala helped a Chinese women's player prepare for her World Championship final. He was also teammates with Chinese Grandmaster Ni Hua at the Chinese league. The same Hua who was part of Ding's team at the World Chess Championship this year. And the fact that Liren is Pentala's friend also worked in Gukesh's favour.
I've been playing with and against Chinese players for a very long time. Many of the Chinese players are my close friends, so you could say I understand Chinese players quite well. Ding is my good friend actually. In 2019, he visited my home in Prague when he was in the city to play Navara.
Pentala was the unsung hero in Gukesh's triumph. Pentala's understanding of Chinese players and, more importantly, Ding Liren in particular, proved to be decisive in Gukesh's win. The former world number 10 may not have moved a single piece on the chessboard in the final, but was the backbone of that battle. His analysis, clubbed with Gukesh's skills, were enough to bring the wall of China down. And it was Liren's friend Pentala who proved to be Gukesh's biggest asset in the final.
Right, Virat Kohli is struggling to find form down under, but Virat's real test doesn't seem to be on the pitch. Whispers, conversations and the noise outside the ground seem to be dominating this space. It all started with Virat calling out an Australian journalist for filming his family, and now it has come down to talks of the superstar leaving India for good and settling in the United Kingdom. No, it's not us fueling these thoughts. There is an intense series underway that has all our attention as is. A statement from Virat Kohli's childhood coach, Rajkumar Sharma, has opened a can of worms and sparked controversy. Virat may soon be shifting his base from India to England, says the coach.
Virat plans to move to London with his children and wife, Anushka Sharma. He's going to be leaving India and shifting very soon.
For the past couple of years, Virat and his wife, actor turned business person, Anushka Sharma, have been spending most of their time in London. They've taken many breaks and vacations there, so it is not too hard to make that association. What shocked fans, though, was the fact that Virat will be doing it soon, as said by the coach himself, and that is what's drawn mixed reactions. The allure of living overseas is understandable, not in the sense that some of us see it. For us, living and working outside the India could be a chance to embrace another country and its ways, exposure, the financial gains. The reasons are tangible and they improve some aspects of our standard of living. For Virat Kohli, the reason would be simple. He can be himself, and his family can get the kind of privacy and freedom that they do not get when they're in India. Yes, he's a global icon, so he will be recognized, he will be filmed occasionally, like we saw in Melbourne. But he will not be watched 24/7, scrutinized constantly, criticized, even praised as well, like he's in India. There's constant attention on Virat Kohli and his family. He'll be relatively free of all of that paparazzi that generally follows Virat and his family wherever they go. And Virat is not just Virat anymore, he's a family man. Maybe he wants a quieter life away from all that media gaze for his children. That's what Virat had said just some months back when he had come back from London. You can sense the wistfulness and how much he misses solitude, and it isn't just a quieter life that Virat probably is longing for. Anushka and Virat have also ventured into business together. The couple reportedly co-own a management consultancy firm in UK. The company was launched in 2022 and has 3 directors, 2 of them, Virat and Anushka. So then what about Virat's cricket career? If he decides to move his base completely, will Virat continue to play for India? So here's the thing, if Virat wants to play for India, which of course he does, he cannot give up his citizenship and accept British citizenship. Yes, there is an option of dual citizenship like we've seen many footballers opt for. The biggest example, of course, is Lionel Messi, who's both an Argentine national and a Spanish citizen. But of course, India doesn't allow dual citizenship. So for Virat, it's either giving up his Indian citizenship for a British one or continuing as an Indian citizen who lives in the United Kingdom till he retires. The latter being the more obvious, simpler choice. And look, the retirement, in all honesty, does seem too far away because it's not just international cricket and stepping up for national duty. He would want to continue playing for his IPL franchise, Bengaluru, that he's such a big part of. And even for Virat Kohli to play as an Indian cricketer in the IPL, he would have to have that Indian citizenship. So considering Virat's dedication towards India and Bengaluru, the chances of Virat giving all of that up is surely very dim. And then, of course, there's that emotional connect. For years, Virat Kohli has represented that blue jersey. He's done the hard yards in domestic cricket. He's synonymous with Indian cricket. He's the biggest brand the sport has seen over the many decades. And he has grown up right here in India, in the capital city of Delhi. In fact, there is so much of that in him in the way he is, the way he talks, behaves, and his being. But the world is shrinking and a geolocation does not define you. What do you think Virat would do or should do, and how would you feel if he did in fact move and settled outside the country? Time for last serve. Football is often considered a game of see ball and strike the ball. But for the South African football team, it's about sound and touch. Watch South Africa's first official blind football team gearing up for their inaugural blind football tournament at the BRICS Plus in Moscow this week. Well, that wraps it up here on First Sports. Do tune in again tomorrow, same time, for more fresh perspectives from the world of sports. Till then, bye-bye.